and those watching this broadcast live from home. Honored guests and former leaders of the Electoral Commission, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege on behalf of the Electoral Commission of South Africa to welcome you all here today to what is undoubtedly one of the most important events on the calendar of any election. There are many key milestones on the road to an election, and some of these are obvious and well known. Just to name a few, it is the proclamation of the election date, the certification of the voters' roll, the nomination and confirmation of the candidates, the conduct of the elections themselves, and finally, the announcements of the results. So one may ask, why then, if the signing of the Code of Conduct is so vital, is it not on the election timetable? Well, unlike other milestones, this is about the rules of law and the pronouncement of the rules of the game. Like any contestation, can you imagine a World Cup final without the FIFA rules? So it is that the Code of Conduct is not bound by proclamation because it spans a far broader time period encompassing the entire build-up to the election. Election day and the election results period is also included. The Electoral Act requires that the Code of Conduct must be subscribed to by all parties and candidates before they may be allowed to contest the election. I repeat, the Electoral Act requires that the Code of Conduct must be subscribed to by all parties and candidates before they may be allowed to contest an election. This ensures that all contestants are aware of the rules of the game before it is played. The purpose of the code, therefore, is to ensure a level playing field for all the contestants. Ladies and gentlemen, today is particularly crucial because it's a day in which the leaders before us of the South Africa's 13 nationally represented political parties will stand before you, South Africans, and to publicly and personally pledge to abide by the rules that will ensure the elections are free and fair. The honorable leaders present today and their parties represent over 95% of voters in the most recent 2014 national and provincial elections. There will be further pledges signed by independent candidates and parties not represented here today, and that rollout will take place throughout the country in the various provinces. However, soon each leader will be humbly requested to publicly commit to the code, which promotes free and fair election through tolerance, public and open debate, and free political campaigning. As leaders, their pledges also imply a commitment that binds their respective parties, their respective parties' candidates, party officials, and office bearers, representatives, card-carrying members, and their supporters, that at all times to comply with the code throughout the election period, and that henceforth they will take all reasonable steps to ensure these candidates, members, officials, and supporters comply with the code. Honorable leaders, in this year of the celebration of the 20th milestone of our Constitution, the people of South Africa look to each of you to set an example and to show your leadership and commitment to our constitutional democracy and peaceful elections. In the past few weeks, the people of South Africa and the world at large have seen the start of a period of a colorful and vibrant political campaigning. With the launch of the manifestos, most of the parties represented here today have already started the game. The next 78 days before the election on the 3rd of August will see some of the most robust, vigorous political campaigning in a relatively short history of our beloved country's democracy. The Commission believes such a contestation signals the metaphors of our precious democracy. We embrace the maturing and deepening of our democracy. Therefore, we proudly relish the advancement of our nationhood ideal that remains enshrined in our hearts. This is the ideal the fathers and the mothers of our democracy described as the ideals of a democratic and free society, in which the government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by law. It is an ideal captured in our founding provisions of our Constitution, which sets our nation as one sovereign democratic state founded on the following values: human dignity, achievement of equality and advancement of human rights and freedoms, non-racialism and non-sexism, supremacy of the Constitution and the rule of law, and finally, universal adult suffrage and national common voters' roll, regular election, and a multi-party system of democratic government to ensure accountability, responsiveness, and openness. Ladies and gentlemen, as I noted earlier, the Code of Conduct, it is about the rule of law. In this regard, the Electoral Commission has critical interdependencies with other state organs involved, such as the security cluster. This includes the SAPS and the National Prosecution Authority, and most importantly, and represented here by the chairperson of that court, the Electoral Court, that is represented by Judge Shong. And as well as the interministerial committee that is part of us in preparation of this election. And earlier this year, we were honored when we hosted a seminar at which the chairperson of the Electoral Court, Judge Jeremiah Shong, was our keynote speaker. Also in attendance were key representatives of the stakeholder groups which I've just mentioned, along with representatives of political parties and the civil society. The Electoral Court is the relevant authority to pursue allegations of contravention of the Code of Conduct, and Judge Shongwe made it very clear that he welcomes any member of the public to approach this court directly to report allegations of the violation of the code, which means that we in South Africa have a unique system that says the courts are accessible to every citizen. It is equivalent to a citizen's arrest. If you see any transgression by any party, you are free to proceed to the courts without even spending monies with lawyers and so on. And the South African Police and National Prosecution Authority have also committed to making personnel available urgently to investigate and to bring to book any party who violates the code. And the model that they are following is almost similar to that adopted during the FIFA World Cup, where justice was swift. The Commission wishes to acknowledge to you that the people of South Africa, that we are seized with our part of the bargain as a Commission. We are also the first to acknowledge the challenges, the intricacies, and the complexities of our role and responsibilities. In this regard, all leaders present here today will acknowledge our unprecedented endeavors through the Party Liaison Committee for the continuous liaison and consultation with them. These include special extended PLCs with the leaders. In addition, the Commission and I have held unprecedented one-on-one engagements with all honorable leaders and their leadership teams that represented each political party that is here today. This platform has indeed, I would wish to acknowledge, that has enhanced our understanding as the Commission of the concerns from our political party stakeholders, and it has also provided invaluable input from the political parties. And we, as we speak, as a Commission, we commit ourselves that we will leave no stone unturned to reach amicable resolution of all matters raised, both in the short to medium term as well as in the long term. This includes taking firm measures in putting in place a code of conduct for our electoral staff and holding them to account at all levels throughout the elections. In conclusion, distinguished guests, it goes without saying that ensuring free and fair election is a mandate of the Electoral Commission, but it is something we cannot achieve alone. You can have the most well-run, managed election on the day, but if the conditions prevailing in the run-up to the election were not conducive to tolerance, to open and free debate, then the outcome cannot be free and fair. Quite simply, if the contestants don't abide by the rules, then we will not have a fair outcome. If you can imagine a soccer game, it depends on the referees, but at the same time, it depends on the players, as well as it depends on the fans. For election to be free and fair requires a wide range of key success factors, among which include the logistics, the systems, our staff, and the various participants and the voters. Therefore, the Electoral Commission appeals to all these stakeholders to embrace and uphold the Code of Conduct and allow laws and regulations established to protect our democracy. We urge all leaders of political parties to uphold and defend the Code of Conduct. We appeal to all candidates to contest these elections vigorously and vibrantly, but at all times respecting the rights of others. We call on our partners in the civil society, including the NGOs, the faith-based organization, our traditional leaders, to work with us on the ground in the communities to help promote tolerance and peace, as well as to allow free campaigning to proceed without being hindered. And we also rely on our friends in the media to promote the understanding and knowledge of the code among all the voters and the contestants, and to help expose any violations. We call on all the members of staff of the Electoral Commission to always maintain the highest level of ethics and professional conduct while maintaining our values of impartiality, integrity, accountability, transparency, and finally, respect. We call also on all the voters in South Africa to conduct themselves in the manner befitting and supporting our young, vibrant democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, democracy means that While we might not all make the same choice, everyone is allowed to make their own choice without fear, favor, or intimidation. It is what our Constitution guarantees, and it is what the code is there for. In the end, the game to be fair, the players must know and respect the rules. The referee must be protected, or the game itself will collapse. In this regard, the political party leadership disposition to the Electoral Commission can either make or break the upcoming elections. To the leaders of political parties and to all the people of South Africa, we as the Commission, we are saying, let the game begin, and it is over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for those words. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to invite a new commissioner. You have not seen her before. You might have seen her in different guises in her life in the country. She's a new commissioner, Ms. Janet Love. Commissioner Love, I invite you to come and read the pledge that political parties will be signing today and committing to. Can you please welcome her with a round of applause, please? Commissioner Love.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and thanks to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. The preamble to the pledge reads as follows. We, the undersigned leaders of political parties, recognize that South Africa is a democratic and constitutional state premised on the principles of regular elections and multi-partyism. We accept that the elections require an environment wherein there is a free political activity, where all political parties are able to canvass support without fear or hindrance. We recognize that democracy development in our country partly depends on the ability of voters to hear different political opinions as espoused by various parties, and thus enable citizens to exercise the franchise in an informed basis. We note that free and fair elections is the only legitimate basis on which the authority to govern is derived. We acknowledge that the Electoral Commission is mandated to ensure free and fair elections of legislative bodies. We acknowledge that political parties and candidates participating in the 2016 municipal elections are obliged to observe all provisions of the Electoral Code of Conduct, which is binding on those participating parties, on their candidates, members, and supporters. The statement of commitment reads as follows. The political parties gathered on the 16th of May 2016 in Midrand, Gauteng, commit themselves to uphold the underlying values and conduct required by the Electoral Code of Conduct, and to which they hereby pledge to adhere. The further pledge is to underscore this commitment. Leaders will then sign leaders of the undersigned parties further pledge. 1, to lead their parties in a manner that will reinforce a culture of tolerance towards other parties contesting elections. 2, to effectively counsel and advise all candidates on their party lists so that each candidate will in turn propagate a message of maximum tolerance. 3, to publicly promote the eradication of no-go areas for political campaigns run by political parties. 4, to desist from using speech or participating in actions which will have the effect of provoking either party supporters or members of the general public to commit acts of intolerance or take other inflammatory actions. 5, that participating parties will work together to achieve the object and the goals of the Code of Conduct. Thus, the pledge is signed in Midrand on the 16th of May, 2016. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Commissioner Love. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the pledge. We now begin with the commitment from political parties, and this is how we are going to run it. I will invite the Chief Electoral Officer to preside over the signing of the pledge. Mr. Msutu Miapia, may I invite you, please? I hope you've got the pens. Thank you. Okay. Please take a seat. I will then call upon each political party. They are already sitting over here behind me. So fortunately, I can't see their faces, and I don't see any faces that they're making, which is always an advantage. I'm going to call each one of them. They will come up. They will come and make a commitment. They will talk to us for 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes. Can I just turn and do this, please? Ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes, please. You're allowed 2 minutes. That is 120 minutes. We'll do that, won't we? Thank you. I'm just negotiating. Okay. Once they have done that, they will join the Chief Electoral Officer over there, and they will sign the pledge. Photographers, are you all ready? May I start? Thank you. May I please invite the representative of the African Christian Democratic Party, the ACDP, please.
To the program director, the Honorable President, all commissioners, leaders of political parties, and all protocol observed. I stand here this morning on behalf of the African Christian Democratic Party to make a commitment that we will observe the electoral conduct, and as people who believe that there is power in the tongue, we will use our tongues to build and not to destroy. We will use language that is acceptable, language that promotes unity and tolerance. I want to make a plea to the Electoral Commission that as we are going to contest elections, the plea is they must ensure that the playing field is level. We see our president is representing the ANC. They send their biggest gun. I want to suggest that we remember that when football clubs go to play for a cup, they are looking for a champion. The defendants or the defending champions are never given an advantage. The defendant and the contestant and the challengers are all treated the same. So my plea to the IEC is that they should ensure that when it comes to the public broadcasting organizations, that there is fairness. The president of the ANC is not given more time than the president of the ACDP. Because even though they might be bigger, let the playing field be level so that we can look at one another eye to eye, so that everybody will say, if the ANC beats us, they beat us fairly. But if they're going to be given more time, then we're going to complain. So that's my plea with you. Thank you very much. We will observe the Code of Conduct.
Thank you very much. May I please invite the representative of the African Independent Congress, the AIC, please, to say a few words. Apparently, my mathematics was totally off. I was trying to say 2 minutes, 60 plus 60 is 60 seconds plus 60 seconds. You can work it out on Kenya. Thank you very much. Please, AIC.
Chairperson of the IEC, President of the Republic of South Africa, colleagues and all political parties present, I'm humbled to be standing here this morning and to commit the African Independent Congress to the Code of Conduct. As the African Independent Congress, we will educate our candidates and we will also ensure that our members and our supporters commit to the Code of Conduct. As a party, it is for us really to commit, and it's critical for us to commit to this code because as a party, we are preparing people to take center stage in government, and we believe that people should take the responsibility for their actions. Thus, we are saying we will definitely commit to this code of conduct, and we do feel that the IEC is definitely also committed to having a free and fair election. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I please invite the representative of the African National Congress, ANC, to make the commitment and then sign the pledge. Thank you very much.
The chairperson of the IC, leaders of political parties, fellow South Africans, the African National Congress would like to pledge its full support to the IEC in its continued efforts to ensure free and fair elections on the 3rd of August 2016. We pledge the ANC's support and commitment to the IEC Code of Conduct and undertake to abide by all the dictates of the Code of Conduct. The ANC also reaffirms its commitment to political tolerance, peaceful coexistence with other parties, as well as free political activity throughout our country. We look forward to a robust and peaceful electioneering period at equal level and successful election on the 3rd of August. No advantage would be given to any. We canvass and participate equally as equal parties. Those who will win, we'll congratulate them, but we'll also congratulate those who would not win for their participating in this important calendar of our democracy. Thank you very much, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you, political parties. Let us do it fairly. Okay, thank you very much.
May I please invite the representative of the African People's Convention, the APC, please. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to invite the representative of the African People's Convention, the APC, please, to say, to make their pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, Chairperson of the IEC and Commissioners, Comrade President of the Republic, comrades, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the APC, the Party of Revolution, I rise to reaffirm and state our long-standing commitment to ethical campaigning and to free and fair elections. It is a firm belief of the APC that elections are an opportunity for the popular will of the people to be expressed. Elections must not lead to strife and instability as witnessed in other countries the world over. The APC commits to, as they say, a clean fight, to play the ball and not the man. We will use the campaigns to articulate our policies and bring to the fore issues that affect our people, the African people in general and the working class in particular, as well as the rural poor. The IEC has had challenges, perceived and real, but as the APC, we have full confidence in the integrity of the IEC. However, our issue of concern to the IEC and the political parties is the tables, gazebos, and party regalia on election day. The APC calls for the restriction of these things. They are unnecessary and unduly interfere with the rights of voters to vote in a tranquil atmosphere. Lastly, as the APC, we wish all progressive parties the best of luck in the elections. We have a duty and a responsibility to wage an uncompromising and unrelenting ideological struggle against especially the liberals and those parties that hunt with the dogs and run with the hare. I thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I please invite the representative of Ahang SA to make that commitment and sign the pledge.
Motsamaisa tiro e tlotleganye modulasetilo wa IEC mong wa naga ya rona batlotlegi botlhe ba ba leng teng fa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. As Ahang SA, ours is a political home that calls on citizens to reclaim their early promise of our democracy. We dream of a country in which citizens enjoy the fruits of democracy and are able to aspire to achieve their dreams. We dream of a country where citizens comes first. As Ahang SA, we plead with those tasked with administering our elections to act totally within the legal prescripts of the electoral law, so that the election results reflects the voice of the voters, but not the voice of those who were in charge. Voting is an individual voice, and that voice must be respected. The right to vote is not only a constitutional right, but it was also earned through the blood of our own people. As such, we, Ahang SA, would like to pledge on behalf of our members and supporters that we will observe and uphold the Code of Conduct unconditionally. We will not be part of those who seek to bring conditions and desire to undermine the spirit of free and fair elections or create hostile environment. Lastly, we will encourage our members and supporters to be tolerant, to ensure that all citizens cast their votes in an environment deserving human dignity. I thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I please invite the representative of the Congress of the People, COPE, to please make their commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Thank you, Program Director. It is with pride that on behalf of the Congress of the People, I join sister political parties in making a pledge on this occasion to a participation in the election that will make South Africa a better country. I think it is important that we make a call on the voters on this occasion to take particular care to remember that this code says that we have to hear different views, hear all of the views so that we are able to make informed choices. Unless citizens do not or respect each other's right to campaign, to listen to everybody, and then ultimately make their choice, then voting loses its meaning. It is for this reason that we will encourage both competitors and our own members to listen to each other, to learn, and therefore to make a choice which ultimately will make South Africa a greater, better, united country. I thank you.
Thank you. May I please invite the representative of the Democratic Alliance, the DA, to make that commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Africa Borwa Dumelang. These elections take place at a very crucial time in our country, where in fact we need to make a choice between corrupt governments and honest ones. We need to ensure that for the 8.9 million South Africans who are without work, that these elections offer hope to them to say that there can be a change that can be bought through the ballot box, not through any other means. And therefore the elections on the 3rd of August give South Africans at home that particular choice. Bagaitsu, Chairperson, the President, this pledge is enshrined in our Constitution. And as a party, that Constitution maintains that we must have free and fair elections. And as a party, I stand to say we will uphold and defend that Constitution and make sure that these elections are indeed free and fair. However, I think all of us should understand the fact that there are two threats that face these respective elections. It's obvious without doubt that the role of the IEC, firstly, has been something that has been now a court matter. And therefore I request that, now we are signing this pledge, that as the chairperson has said, the IEC must be at the forefront of ensuring that these elections are free and fair. But the second challenge is when political parties use state machinery and patronage to be able to distribute in communities to fight elections. Those two components are not covered in this respective pledge and should in fact be covered. So I sign it, and yet I urge South Africans that we must take an earnest view at what will be a closely contested election, a robust one, and I invite the international community to make sure that we monitor these elections and ensure that they are free and fair. For ultimately, it would always be the will of the people, not the will of the food parcels, but the will of the people to ensure that they choose the government of their making. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Can I please invite the representative of the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF, to make that commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Chairperson, leaders of political parties, the Economic Freedom Fighters realizes, as a government in waiting, that our path towards a full and true democracy does not only lie in the process of campaigning, but more especially in the activities of the IEC that must shape the process at the voting stations and subsequently the protection of the process of counting the ballot papers that follows. In true commitment to the Constitution and upholding its expectations as a Chapter 9 institution. Over and above all, these things are characteristic of an election campaign. The EFF beckons and pleads with the IEC to exercise its very own good ethic and practice impartiality, integrity, transparency, and accountability in executing the Electoral Code of Conduct, equal to its expectations of all political parties, in ensuring a balanced and unbiased electioneering platform, both in the media and on the ground, and in particular, ensuring that the employees of the IEC are not affiliated to any political party. The EFF has been an igniter of democracy and has called to order those who have failed to comply with both legal, state, and societal prescripts. We will observe the Code of Conduct and place an obligation on all participants in this election to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I please invite the representative of the eNCA Freedom Party, the IFP, to make that commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Thank you very much. On behalf of eNCA Freedom Party, its leaders, candidates, and members, I commit to uphold the provisions of the Electoral Code of Conduct in 2016. The coming elections takes place in an atmosphere of heightened political awareness. The electorate holds strong conviction on how they will cast their vote. Economic distress and social upheavals distinct in the minds of our people the need to cast their vote for the sake of securing the future. The stakes are high, therefore, in 2016, and the landscape is set to change. In these circumstances, we know that the threat of electoral manipulation looms large. The IFP believes that free and fair elections are the foundation of democracy. As much as we secure the right to vote, we must respect the right to have our vote respected without manipulation and intimidation of any kind. We respect the role of the Commission in this regard and commit to support its work as we have always done. The IFP has been vigilant in every election, highlighting cases of fraud, intimidation, and buying of votes, and we've been working with the Commission to secure real democracy. Our nation deserves nothing less. Our people are struggling under the burden of poverty and escalating food prices. Many are angry over poor service delivery and corruption in leadership. Their voices must be heard so that we might place municipal governance on the path of recovery. The IFP condemns any party that would buy people's vote, whether with state resources, empty promises, or divisive rhetoric. We must ensure that the genuine will of the people is expressed in these elections. It is the only hope South Africa has for protecting our hard-won democracy. The IFP champions free and fair elections. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can I please invite the representative of the National Freedom Party, the NFP, to make that commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Chairperson of the IEC, members of political parties, it gives me a great pleasure to sign the Code of Electoral Conduct today on behalf of the NFP and the entire NFP leadership. We believe and trust that all parties signing here today will contribute towards free and fair election. We have in the past experienced that we have in the past experienced that we were some areas where people did not understand democracy as provided for in the constitution of our country and tried to create no-go zones. This must never be allowed to happen. The NFP constitution requires of each and every member of the party to conduct ourselves politically with dignity, and we therefore pledge ourselves once more today to non-violence. We are looking forward to working together with the IEC in the full belief that the IEC will conduct itself 100% with fairness and impartially, and that the IEC will ensure that its representatives at the voting station are fully committed to our desire for a free and fair elections. The NFE is, however, concerned about the impact of many voters on the voters' roll who do not have verifiable addresses. The lack of verified addresses is particularly problematic for the local government election, where we are going to elect ward representative and increase the chance of electoral fraud. We call on the IEC to give us all an assurance that there are contingency and plans in place to prevent such electoral fraud. We also look forward to seeing the South African police acting impartial during the elections and ensuring that everybody complies with electoral rules and guidelines to ensure fairness and prevent violence. Finally, the NFE calls on the IEC to ensure that all voting stations open on time and that no voting station shall close whilst there are still voters standing in a queue waiting to cast their vote. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I please invite the representative of the Pan-Africanist Congress, the PAC, to make their commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Yeah. Bolsil. Program Director, leaders of the political parties, our visitors, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania is here at least to also make sure that these elections they are free and fair. These elections are taking place at a time where our people are are living with the poverty, where 8 million of our people are unemployed, and some are going to bed without food. Program Director, these elections are taking place where some of the members of the Azanian People's Liberation Army are still languishing in jail, although they fought tirelessly for the liberation of the poor. So they will not be able to cast their vote. PAC will observe the code of conduct of the IEC as we normally do, and then we will also make sure that we reinforce the culture of tolerance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I please invite the representative of the United Democratic Movement, the UDM, to make their commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Thank you, Program Director, the Chairperson of the IEC and the Commissioners, the President of the Republic, the leaders of the political parties, fellow South Africans, ladies and gentlemen. The United Democratic Movement pledges to work with all other parties peacefully. We also pledge to observe and adhere to the code of conduct that we are pledging on today. We are pledging that our supporters and members will work and tolerate all other parties. We further call upon the IEC and all other relevant stakeholders to ensure that there are consequences to those who don't adhere to the code of conduct. And we hope that these elections will be peaceful for all South Africans. I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I please invite the representative? And for this particular representative, I'm going to ask them to forgive me for my pronunciation of their name. It's the Vryheid Front Plus. If it sounds something like French or English, somewhere in between, I apologize. The UF, please, to come and make that commitment and sign the pledge, please.
Chairperson, Vryheidsfront was right. It was heeltemal reg. Ladies and gentlemen, the Code of Conduct prohibits the use of language which provokes violence and intolerance. You know, in Northern Ireland, they killed each other for years over religious differences. In Eritrea, ethnic differences led to a 30-year civil war. In the French Revolution, it was the rich against the poor. In the above mentioned countries, one difference between groups was enough for conflict. South Africa has got all these differences in one country. Religious differences, ethnic differences, wealth differences, racial differences, and many more. History teaches us that one spark can set off a huge fire in dry grass. Currently, the sparks of racism are being thrown into dry grass everywhere. The problem is that the majority of these comments generalize. Let me give you an example. Something like, all white people are racist. Or something like, all black people are criminals or corrupt. A generalization is always wrong, because all people are not the same. The FF Plus has a proven record of keeping to the rules, and we will once again do so. But we do ask the Electoral Commission to act against parties that do not keep the rules. But let's conclude on a lighter note. You know, once the Electoral Commission accepts people as candidates, they start first as running to become a candidate. Then you are accepted as a candidate and you stop running, you become a standing candidate. And then once you're elected, then you become a sitting councillor. Now you'll notice that there's unfortunately less and less activity as it continues. First they are running for nomination, then they become standing, and then they become sitting members, and that's surely exactly the wrong way around. What South Africa needs are councillors who are now sitting with the electorate to hear what their needs are. Then the candidates should stand up to defend what the public wants. And lastly, once elected, they should start running to say that all their promises are implemented and they're delivered to the public. This is what the public rightfully will be expecting, and we in the Freedom Front are going to try to do that. I thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and to the political parties, thank you very much. Let me describe a little bit how I feel right now. Some of you may have attended many, many weddings, many times. And you know how it is when the people who are getting married are asked to make their vows, and the person who's conducting the ceremony says, do you take so-and-so as your so-and-so, etc., etc. There's always that moment where your heart misses a beat, and my heart has been missing a beat 13 times. So thank you very much to the political parties for making their commitments and signing their pledges. I feel like you have said you do, and I feel relieved that you've said you do. I am not going to invite you to kiss each other just yet. May I suggest that we kiss during lunch with the benefit of something to eat. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This brings us to the conclusion of the commitment and the pledge. And at this time, I'm going to ask the band that I introduced earlier to... It is already there. Thank you. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you what we call the election song. Every election that we that we run as the Electoral Commission typically has a theme, it has a logo, and on occasion it has an election song. And this is the time when I would like you to listen to this new group. It's a very young group, and they're going to sing the election song to you. Gentlemen, please take it away.
So, it's 2016 election time. Have you registered? Yeah, it's your vote. Let's go. Stand up. Yeah, paga. Hey, stand up. Yeah, Sugu. Let's go. Stand up. Woza shona kona, woza siyo vota, ilizwengele tu. Stand up. Woza spabonise, sonke tina basha, ilungelongele tu. Stand up. Woza shona kona, woza siyo vota, ilizwengele tu. Stand up. Woza spabonise, sonke tina basha, ilungelongele tu. Stand up. Woza shona kona, woza siyo vota, ilizwengele tu. Stand up. Stand. Let's go. Stand. Let's come together. Senses into Sibambene. Hasameni so votani. Siyo busilizwe letu. Hasameni so votani. Ilumelo letu. Shona kona. Yeah, I hope you're ready. Hope you're ready. Let's go. Shona kona. South Africa. Woza shona kona. Woza siyo vota. Stand up. Woza spabonise. Sonke tina. Aseri lunge. South Africa. Woza shona kona. Woza siyo vota. Stand up. Woza spabonise. Sonke tina. Aseri lunge tu. Angizwa. Keto mtandayo. Angitivoda. Angizwa. Okelo mnganywayo. Keto mtandayo. Angitisha ispambano. Matala. Keto mnganywayo. Get up, once again it's the time. Yes, Suguma, make your vote could make a change. Yes, put your eggs on that box and rule the nation. It doesn't matter good to Pumago, we are the same. Yes, South Africans, we are family, let's go now. Shona Kona's your voter, it's our right. Yeah, get your ID, Shona Kona's your register. Masbabene, we can turn SA to a better place. I believe Ubuntu, our vote could make a change. It doesn't matter good to Keta Yipi, it's your choice. Yes, everybody get up, Shona Kona, alright. Kokola we Kuluse, 1, 2, 3, stand. Woza Shona Kona, woza siyo vota, ilizwengele tu. Woza spabonise, sonke tina, aseri lunge, let's go. Stand up. Woza Shona Kona, woza siyo vota, ilizwengele tu. Woza spabonise, sonke tina, aseri lunge, let's go. Shona kona, woza siyo vota, ilizwengele tu. Shona kona, woza spabonise, sonke tina, aseri lunge tu. Woza shona kona, woza siyo vota, ilizwengele tu. Shona kona, woza spabonise, sonke tina, aseri lunge tu. Jeli vote nobody, choice yami. Let's all unite. It's your vote, it's your right. Let's go. Jeli vote nobody, come election day, your vote. Let's go. Ungangitsheli ngivotela ubani. I-choice yami. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. Let's go. Ungangitsheli ngivotela ubani. Indaba yami. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Votella production band. And what are they saying? They're saying stand up. Baso ketom tandai. Ketom tandai, for those who don't know, it means you choose the one that you like. And these are young people full of energy and representative of the energy that is characteristic of South Africa. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Just hang on there and you will sing the song again. The time has come for me to invite the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Terry Tselane, to give us the vote of thanks and a few closing remarks. And I hand over to you, Vice Chairperson, please.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Dr. Masuk, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, the Honorable Mr. Jacob Zuma, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Ministers, and other distinguished guests, Commissioners, Commissioner, starting with the Chairperson of the Commission, Commissioner Glenn Mashinini, Commissioner Bongani Finga, Commissioner Judge Makanya, and our brand new Commissioner, Commissioner Janet Laff. Let me also express our gratitude to the leadership of the Electoral Commission present here, the provincial electoral officers, senior managers of the organization, and our staff of the Electoral Commission. And I also want to, in advance, express our gratitude to those thousands of electoral staff who, on the day of the elections, will be representing this organization. Let me also express our appreciation to honorable leaders of political parties present here today. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and honor on behalf of the Electoral Commission to close these proceedings with a vote of thanks to all our guests here today and to those who made this event possible. But before I do that, allow me to take this opportunity to briefly reflect on the key challenges which face us all as partners in electoral democracy, especially as we move towards the 2016 local government elections. Our immediate and most pressing challenge is to ensure that over the next 78 days, we ensure that South Africa is ready to elect almost 11,000 representatives for the country's 257 municipal councils on the 3rd of August. As we indicated, our logistical preparations are well advanced and on track. I am pleased on behalf of the Commission also to announce that last week we launched a new online candidate nomination system through which political parties can submit their candidate list via the internet. It is one of the innovations that we introduced for these elections. The system is designed to speed up and simplify the process of submitting candidate nomination lists for elections by allowing political parties to capture their own information ahead of time and then submit electronically via the internet ahead of the deadline. Among the key benefits of the systems are the following factors. Parties can capture their own information, reducing errors and the time required in their submissions. Real-time verification of eligibility of candidates. Electronically generated acceptance of nomination forms, obviating the need to manually complete forms for each candidate. Access to a payment gateway to facilitate ease of payment. Exporting and importing spreadsheets for each municipality to allow for copy and paste of candidate data that may be in existence for political party databases. The system is also available for independent candidates to use. We're trying to make sure that it is easier and simpler for candidates and political parties to participate in the process. On the human resources front, we are well advanced with the recruitment and training of more than 220,000 election officials who will oversee voting and counting, as well as voting on special voting and election days. Improved training of both our staff as well as party agents has been identified as a key area of importance in our ongoing engagement with political parties, and we have enhanced and expanded our training program for this election to make it easier, as I've suggested, for both the political parties but also for our staff. Because if this becomes possible, it is much more easier also for the electorate to participate in the process. Over the 2 registration weekends in March and April, a total of 1.3 million new registrations were recorded, bringing the total number of 26.3 million, or approximately 77% of the eligible voting population, being on our voters' roll. This was almost 2.5 times more voters who visited a voting station than during the 2 registration weekends for the previous municipal elections in 2011. Registration will continue at our offices, as you may be aware, until proclamation of the election date by the Minister of COGTA. Distinguished guests, friends and fellow South Africans, I cannot speak about the voters' roll without reflecting on the events of the past few months and days relating to the issue of the addresses on the voters' roll. I cannot, of course, comment directly on the matter which is before the Constitutional Court or the Constitutional Court is seized with as we speak. And I think all of us are eagerly awaiting the judgment thereof. But I do want to take the opportunity to echo Chief Justice during the last Monday's hearing on the case, in which he urged all parties and stakeholders in electoral democracy to work together to find not only an interim solution for this election, but to ensure that the accuracy and the completeness of the voters' roll for the long term is ensured. The voters' roll is the cornerstone of a free and fair election, and we all share a common vision for a voters' roll which meets the highest standards set by our law and the international best practice. Achieving this goal as soon as possible over the coming months and years will require us all to work together to overcome the challenges which our unique history, topography, geography, and socio-economic conditions have led to. Ladies and gentlemen, the Electoral Commission is deeply grateful to all the stakeholders, including the leaders from all levels of government, community leaders, as well as traditional leaders and civil society groups, which are working very, very hard to resolve issues in areas where we have experienced pockets of instability. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Allow me to thank the leaders and representatives of all political parties present here today for making the time to attend and to giving their personal prominence to the symbolic act of signing the Code of Conduct. The electoral process is a highly emotive process. We, however, wish to appeal to the political parties and leaders to be circumspect in terms of the things that they say during the process of electioneering. As a principle, we as the Commission do not respond in the media to issues leveled against us. We are satisfied that the platforms that have been created for conversation between ourselves and the political parties are sufficient to resolve whatever issues that parties may want to raise with us. You may be aware that at the national level, we've got National Party Liaison Committee, which it's a forum, it's an advisory structure represented by all represented political parties, and we work very, very closely with this structure. It is a structure that also exists at the national as well as at the provincial level, rather the provincial as well as at the local level. But apart from that, as the chairperson indicated earlier on, we've got also bilateral discussions that we have with the political parties. So we use those platforms to deal with whatever issues that the political parties wish to raise with the Commission. We regard ourselves as a Commission, as a sober-minded organization and institution that does not respond emotionally to issues and requires a conversation between ourselves and our partners, the political parties, to deal with whatever issues that the political parties wish to raise with us. A special word of thanks to the chairperson of the Electoral Court, Judge Jeremiah Shongwe, for your presence here today. Then to all the members of the diplomatic corps who are here, members of civil society groups, the media, and all of you who are here today. Thank you for your attendance. A special word of thanks to Vuse Mabusa and his colleagues from Vutela Productions for the song Sishona Kona, which they wrote for this year's elections and performed for the very first time today. The song will be made available for free download via social media platforms later this week as part of our ongoing efforts to encourage youth participation in the elections. Finally, let me also thank my fellow commissioners and the leadership and staff of the Electoral Commission who continue to work diligently and as passionately as ever to ensure that we deliver free and fair elections. We have accepted the challenge that these elections are going to be very, very difficult. But we know that with the kind of the partners we have, particularly the political parties, you will make it much more easier for us to make sure that the results of the election reflect the will of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all.
Thank you. Vice Chairperson, allow me to thank you. As the person who gives the vote of thanks hardly ever gets thanked. Thank you very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of our program. If you can please indulge me and remain seated whilst we allow the Commission to exit the room and then allow the leaders of political parties to exit the room, and then you will exit the room. Whilst that happens, may I please ask the band to play the election song once again. With that, can I please invite you to have lunch? We are running ahead of time, which is refreshing, isn't it? That we're not late. I invite you to please stay. We don't want fruitless expenditure on the state budget. So please stay. and have your dessert for a change. I know that you are health conscious, but please stay and have the dessert, and lunch will be served. You'll be directed by my colleagues that are on the ground. On my part, thank you very much for the smiles that you've given me and the strength that you have given me and the good energy that you have given us for on a day that is very, very cold and yet disinclined to smile. Have a wonderful day. Travel safely. Today is Monday. Traffic is unforgiving. Travel safely, and we are going to see you, no doubt, when we launch the results center very soon. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Thank you. Please remain seated. Thank you.